Why do studios keep betting millions on movies that feel cursed from page one? Is it ego, greed, or just pure Hollywood delusion? 1982 was a glorious bloodbath at the box office. We saw brain-dead sequels, Neuralink fantasies, post-apocalyptic parasites, and one film that literally murdered an entire studio. Today we count down 15 financial catastrophes so brutal they made executives cry. Each bomb is unique. No repeated lines, no safe words. Let's start the funeral. Number 15. Grease 2. You remember Grease. You remember John Travolta. You remember Olivia Newton-John in black leather. Now erase all that happiness. Grease 2 arrived like a bad high school reunion no one asked for. Michelle Pfeiffer tried her best as Stephanie Zanoni, a cool pink lady who suddenly needed a British greaser to impress her. Yes, a British greaser. In 1960s America. The movie cost a shocking $13 million. That's roughly $40 million today. And what did audiences pay to see? A musical number about reproduction. Literally a song called Reproduction, where a nerd compares dating to biology class. The box office returned only $15 million domestic. On paper, that doesn't look terrible. But here's the kicker. Marketing and distribution ate another $10 million. Paramount lost nearly $8 million. Critics called it aggressively terrible. The only reason it's number 15? Grease 2 became a weird cult classic on VHS. But in 1982, theaters? Empty seats, cold popcorn, and the sound of a franchise flatlining. Number 14. Jinxed. Bette Midler was a goddess in 1980. She gave us The Rose. She gave us Divine Madness. Then she gave us Jinxed, a movie so unlucky its title became prophecy. The plot follows a sadistic gambler, a lounge singer, and a cursed blackjack dealer. They chase each other from casino to casino while screaming at slot machines. Sounds chaotic, right? The budget was $13.4 million. A solid, mid-range gamble, but the script went through 7 rewrites. The director, Don Siegel, legend behind Dirty Harry, clashed with Midler every single day. She called the shoot a nightmare in sequins. The final product opened in September 1982 against E.T., still crushing records, and An Officer and a Gentleman. Jinxed earned only $2.9 million nationwide. That's a loss of over $10 million. Midler disowned the film. She refused to promote it after week 2. One reviewer wrote, "Jinxed makes the apple look like the Godfather." This bomb didn't just fail. It poisoned Bette's movie career for 3 full years. She returned to live concerts just to pay her mortgage. Number 14 is A Curse You Can Feel. Number 13. The House Where Evil Dwells. Horror movies in 1982 was supposed to be easy money. Poltergeist made a fortune. Creepshow delighted audiences. Then there's The House Where Evil Dwells, a film that proves location is everything. The story follows an American family moving to Kyoto, Japan. Their new home is haunted by 3 ghosts, a lover, a wife, and a vengeful husband who committed suicide. Creepy premise, real Kyoto setting. So what went wrong? The budget was $7 million, a huge sum for a small horror flick. MGM UA expected a Shining-level chill. Instead, they got a boring melodrama with samurai sword flashbacks and 0 scares. The ghost makeup looked like melted cheese. The dialogue sounded like Google Translate from 1972. The House Where Evil Dwells opened on 800 screens. It grossed only $667,863 domestically. That's less than many single-screen blockbusters earned in one weekend. The loss? Over $6 million. MGM UA quietly buried this movie in discount VHS bins. Today, it's remembered only by hardcore bad movie hunters. Number 13 proves that evil doesn't dwell in houses. Evil dwells in terrible scripts. Number 12. Parasite. No, not the Oscar-winning Korean masterpiece. This Parasite is a post-apocalyptic creature feature starring a pre-fame Demi Moore. The plot is glorious trash. A doctor gets infected with a new strain of parasite. He flees to a desert town. The parasite makes him vomit slime and control killer slugs. Simple, right? The budget was $850,000. Tiny even for 1982. But that's not the disaster. The disaster is distribution. Producer Charles Band, founder of Empire Pictures, spent another million on marketing. He promised the most shocking Parasite film since Alien. He lied. Parasite opened in 3D, a desperate gimmick, on 1,200 screens. It made 1.8 million total. That's a 70% loss after marketing. Demi Moore later called it my student film that escaped. The real horror? The Parasite puppet cost $200,000. It looked like a melted hot dog with teeth. Audiences walked out. Critics called it boring slime. Number 12 fails so uniquely because it's not even fun bad. It's just slow, dusty, and confused. Demi survived. The Parasite didn't.
Number 11. Mazes and Monsters. Before Tom Hanks was America's dad, he was a TV movie actor trapped in a Dungeons & Dragons panic flick. Mazes and Monsters was based on a true story about college kids who confuse fantasy with reality. Hanks plays Robbie, a schizophrenic student who disappears into the sewers thinking he's a wizard. The budget was $2 million for this CBS television movie. But CBS spent another $4 million on promotion. They called it the film that warns your children. The problem? The real story was exaggerated. The D&D community sued, and the movie itself is laughably dull. Only 2.1 million people watched the premiere. Advertisers pulled out. CBS lost roughly $5 million, a huge blow for network television. Hanks later said, "I did that film for rent money, and I still overpaid." The most famous scene shows Hanks crying in a cave while wearing a red cape. It became a YouTube meme decades later. But in 1982, Mazes and Monsters was a ratings black hole. Number 11 is a warning: never bet on moral panic. It ages worse than VHS tape. Number 10, Hey Goodlooking. Ralph Bakshi was a legend. He made Fritz the Cat. He made American Pop. Then he made Hey Goodlooking, an animated nostalgia trip about 1950s Brooklyn gangs. The budget was $4 million. The production took 5 years, and Warner Brothers hated every frame. Bakshi originally finished the film in 1975. Warner shelved it. They demanded recuts. They changed the music. They even forced Bakshi to add live-action bookends. Yes, live actors inside an animated movie. When Hey Goodlooking finally opened in October 1982, it earned just $1.5 million total. That's a $2.5 million loss plus years of wasted studio overhead. But here's the real disaster. Warner spent $8 million on legal fees fighting Bakshi for creative control. The film became a tax write-off. Bakshi disowned it. He said, "That's not my movie. That's a corpse wearing my name." Number 10 is unique because it's an animated bomb that killed a director's passion. Audiences stayed away. Gangs didn't care. And Brooklyn never looked so cheap. Number 9, Best Friends. Burt Reynolds and Goldie Hawn were two of the biggest stars on the planet. Their 1981 film, The Cannonball Run, made $100 million. So Norman Jewison, director of Moonstruck, thought Best Friends would be a slam dunk. The plot: a couple lives together for 5 years, then marries, then struggles on the honeymoon. Simple rom-com gold. Budget? $15 million. That's a lot for a comedy in 1982. But Reynolds and Hawn took $4 million each. The script was written on set, no joke, typed each morning by a frantic assistant. The final product opened against Rocky III. Bad timing. Best Friends earned only $10 million domestic. After marketing and theater cuts, Warner Brothers lost $12 million. One executive called it the most expensive home movie ever made. The worst scene? A 15-minute argument about laundry detergent. Yes, detergent. Hawn later joked, "Burt and I had chemistry. The script had none." Number 9 proves that stars without a script are just expensive mannequins. Audiences fled to Sylvester Stallone instead. Number 8, Tron. Wait, Tron is a classic. Tron invented CGI. Tron inspired Pixar. Tron is also a massive box office bomb. Let's run the numbers. Budget, $17 million. Disney spent another $8 million on revolutionary computer animation. The studio expected a Star Wars phenomenon. What did they get? A confusing digital nightmare where Jeff Bridges wears glowing spandex and talks about users. The plot: a hacker gets sucked into a video game and fights flying discs. 1982. Audiences had no idea what a video game was. Parents called it weird light noise. Tron opened in July against E.T., still dominating, and The Road Warrior. It grossed $33 million worldwide, but Disney only kept $14 million after theaters and foreign taxes. That's a $3 million loss, plus the $8 million in R&D. Disney's animation chief called Tron an expensive lesson. The film nearly killed the studio's live-action division. It took 20 years for Tron to become cool. In 1982, it was a financial corpse. Number 8 is unique because it's a failure that changed cinema. But change costs money. And Disney bled. Number 7, Firefox. Clint Eastwood directed and starred in Firefox. The premise sounds incredible. A retired Air Force pilot sneaks into the Soviet Union to steal a fighter jet controlled by Neuralink. Yes, Neuralink in 1982. Budget: $21 million. Eastwood's largest film at the time. He insisted on real Soviet locations. He built 3 full-scale jet mock-ups. He spent 6 months shooting in freezing Vienna. The result? A 2-hour movie with only 8 minutes of actual jet action. Audiences were bored. They wanted Top Gun 2 years early. Instead, they got Clint mumbling Russian phrases and staring at dials. Firefox earned $14.7 million domestic. Worldwide, it crawled to $30 million. But Warner Brothers had spent $18 million on marketing, Eastwood's biggest campaign ever. After all costs, the studio lost $9 million. Eastwood was furious. He blamed the script. He blamed the Soviets for denying location permits. He never spoke of Firefox again. Number 7 is a disaster of pacing. A jet fighter movie with no jet fighting is like a pizza with no cheese. You leave hungry and angry. Clint survived. The Neuralink jet crashed and burned.
Number 6. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. John Carpenter wanted to turn Halloween into an anthology series. No more Michael Myers, just new horror stories every year. Halloween 3 was the test. The plot? An evil mask maker named Connell Cochran uses silver shamrock masks to kill children on Halloween night. There is no slasher, no knife, no white mask, just witchcraft and androids. Budget: $6.5 million. Universal spent another $5 million on TV ads screaming, "The night no one comes home." But fans arrived at theaters expecting Michael Myers. When the credits rolled without him, they rioted. Well, not literally, but they walked out. Halloween 3 earned only $14.4 million domestic. After marketing, the loss was $4 million. That's not enormous, but the brand damage was catastrophic. Universal canceled all future Halloween films for 6 years. John Carpenter quit horror. Number 6 is a disaster of false advertising. The movie itself is actually weird and clever, but audiences don't care about clever. They want the boogeyman, and Halloween 3 gave them a TV jingle about shamrocks. 3 more days to Halloween, silver shamrock. That jingle still haunts nightmares, just not the profitable kind. Number 5. A Midsummer Night's Sex Comedy. Woody Allen made a movie every year. Most were cheap, profitable, and neurotic. A Midsummer Night's Sex Comedy was cheap, only $3.5 million budget. It starred Woody, Mia Farrow, and Jose Ferrer. The plot? 3 couples gather for a romantic weekend in 1900s countryside. It's a tribute to Ingmar Bergman's Smiles of a Summer Night. That's the problem. 1982 audiences didn't want Bergman tributes. They wanted Annie Hall jokes. The film earned only $9 million domestic, fine for a tiny movie. But Woody spent $2 million on a classical music score and period costumes. After Orion Pictures took their cut, the film lost $1.2 million. That's a small bomb. But here's the unique disaster. Woody Allen's previous 12 films had all made profit. Sex Comedy broke his streak. Critics called it self-indulgent whimsy. Fans called it boring. Woody admitted later, "I made that film for myself. The audience agreed it was only for me. Number 5 proves that even geniuses can fail. But when Woody fails, he fails with banjos and lace. A gentle disaster, but a disaster nonetheless. Number 4. One from the Heart. Tanked the Studio. You want the film that murdered a studio? Here it is. One from the Heart was Francis Ford Coppola's passion project, a musical romance set in Las Vegas. No big stars, Frederick Forrest and Terry Garr. No action, just two lovers fighting on the 4th of July. Sounds small, sounds cheap. It was not. Coppola built an entire Vegas soundstage inside his Zoetrope studios. He hired a real circus. He shot on 35mm with custom-built cameras. The budget started at $10 million, then 15, then 20, then $26 million in 1982 money. That's $85 million today. The box office return? $637,355. Yes, $600,000. Zoetrope Studios went bankrupt immediately. Coppola lost his studio, his equipment, and his distribution deal. He spent the next decade directing The Cotton Club and Rumblefish just to pay debts. One from the Heart is the textbook definition of tanked the studio. But here's the cruelest detail. The movie is beautiful. The cinematography is stunning. The music by Tom Waits is legendary. None of that matters. Audiences rejected it, critics dismissed it, and one man's artistic ego destroyed an entire company. Number 4 is a tombstone with a perfect soundtrack. Never let passion blind your budget sheet.
Number 3. Inchon. We're entering legendary bomb territory. Inchon is a war epic about the Battle of Inchon during the Korean War. Who funded it? The Unification Church. Yes, the cult led by Sun Myung-moon. Budget: $46 million. The most expensive film ever made in 1982. Who starred? Laurence Olivier as General Douglas MacArthur. Olivier called his performance the worst acting of my life. I did it for the money, a lot of money. The plot is 3 hours of propaganda, explosions, speeches, and a bizarre scene where MacArthur prays while a choir sings. Inchon opened on 1,400 screens. It earned $2 million total. Yes, $2 million. That's a loss of $44 million. The film was pulled after 1 week. Sun Myung-moon tried to sue critics for bad reviews. He lost. Laurence Olivier gave his fee to charity out of shame. Inchon is number 3 because it's not just a bomb. It's a religious cult's vanity project that exploded on launch. No studio died here because no sane studio touched it. But Moon's film division evaporated overnight. Praise be the box office. Number 2, the Pirate Movie. Imagine The Pirates of Penzance as a 1980s pop musical. Now imagine it with terrible songs, cheap sets, and a lead actor who learned to sword fight 2 days before shooting. The Pirate Movie cost $12 million. It starred Christy McNichol and Christopher Atkins, the guy from The Blue Lagoon. The plot: a modern girl daydreams she's a pirate's wife. The production was chaos. Director Ken Anakin, who made The Longest Duel know The Longest Day, fought with the studio every hour. Fox spent $6 million on marketing, including a terrible theme song, Pumpin' and Blowin', sung by Atkins himself. The film earned $4.2 million domestic. Worldwide, it crawled to $7 million. Fox lost $11 million. But the unique disaster is the soundtrack. The album sold 800 copies. Yes, 800. One critic wrote, "The Pirate Movie makes Xanadu look like Citizen Kane." Number 2 is a bomb that sank without a bubble. No cult following, no ironic love, just embarrassment in polyester pants. Fox survived, but the executives who greenlit this were fired within a year. Number 1, Butterfly. The worst box office disaster of 1982 is Butterfly. Budget, $9 million. A modest sum. So why is it number 1? Because it earned only $2.5 million domestic. A $6.5 million loss. That's not the biggest loss on this list, but percentage-wise, Butterfly lost 72% of its budget. Worse than Inchon. Worse than One from the Heart. The film stars Stacy Keach as a father searching for his daughter, Pia Zadora, in 1930s Texas. The twist? The daughter is also his lover. Yes, incest melodrama. The movie was rated R for sexual themes involving a minor. Audiences were disgusted. Critics were furious. Pia Zadora won a Golden Globe. Her husband bribed voters, a real scandal. The backlash destroyed her career. Stacy Keach never recovered. But the real disaster? The film's producer lost his house. His company folded, and Butterfly became a punchline for decades. Number 1 is the perfect storm of bad taste, bad acting, and bad math. A tiny budget turned into a giant crater. Never bet on incest. Never bet on Pia Zadora. And never, ever, ignore the audience's gag reflex. That's 1982's biggest bomb. Good night. What's the worst bomb you ever sat through in a theater? Drop it in the comments. Subscribe if you want more studio graveyards. Next week, we're counting the biggest flops of 1987. Until then, keep your receipts and your distance from Neuralink jets. Later.